I see that delaying of some projects also has been, again, as I mentioned, focused on what is really critical. So that was one. Focus our capital expenditure and our OPEX on the really critical laser focused project that we needed to address. Other things that we have been doing, and also moving into the new technologies, is about we have a lot of on-premise infrastructure and a lot of legacy systems, and we are slowly, with a large scale operation, it's not so easy to say and implement, but we are moving into world-class systems, going like and I will open like one example. It could be moving into Salesforce. Then you don't need to have all our legacy systems were on legacy platform infrastructure, and now we are on cloud. Moving to cloud has been a big, I would not say that we are still spending a lot of money now on cloud, but allow us to move faster and somehow reduce the maintenance and support of existing infrastructure on premise.
Yeah, that's an amazing comment, especially with an organization your size. It's no easy feat to go ahead and take HR systems like that and move it to Salesforce or CRM systems, which were probably previously on Oracle or SAP on-prem, and then trying to move it in. So yeah, correct. That's certainly nothing easy to do. What I'm going to ask next, sir, is a little bit more about what we're seeing here. Is we've been seeing a lot of consumption software kind of being reduced, anything that's pricing by consumption. And I'm curious, in your perspective here, clearly people seem to prefer subscription over consumption. And what we're trying to get your pulse check on is when we speak to experts like yourself, how much has this largely impacted your spend? Are you truly reducing spend with companies or vendors that are consumption based?
I would say that somehow. I don't want to be like completely
yes or no,
like
right? Sure,
yes
right.
or
Nothing's
no,
ever
yes.
black and white, of course, Pablo. Right?
I would say on large organizations, one of the advantages is you can have a very tight agreements with large companies like Google, like Microsoft, and you set minimums and maximums, so you don't go through consumption. Sure. You go, okay, we are gonna guarantee you that for the next years we are gonna be using all this from you. So that will give you a good negotiation, and so you don't pay for consumption, you pay just on agreement base, and you renegotiate on a yearly basis based on, okay, let's review our numbers, our KPIs, how was everything, and based on that, you get a good consolidation on that.
So it's the wrong question for you, sir, because your organization size has leverage. You can use that leverage and say, no, we'll guarantee you a minimum spend, but you also tell us there's a maximum, so I can go ahead and budget that. So I'll save that question for somebody who doesn't have the leverage you have.
Okay.
But real quickly, before we get into some specific areas, we also asked people what their trend priorities were. And we were hearing people moving more towards zero trust security and real-time streaming analytics. So it's really around data and security is that we're seeing right now as the main priorities. And those are common areas I want to talk to you about in a second. But when you look at this, does this align with the priorities for you guys, or are you still thinking about maybe some of your tech debt, the legacy systems, and moving them on?
It's probably, we still have a big space for the legacy systems for the modernization, but the zero trust and the security on our companies, because we have a lot of people working remote, and we are going into semi-private cloud environments, and we have more exposure. So security has become a huge impact into our organization, on the way that we do coding, on the way that we do infrastructure access service, on the way that we do software access service, the way that we connect, the way that we validate. Yes, security for sure. The change of way of working has become a big priority. I mean, in the past years, we were talking about credit card PCI. We were talking about, I mean, but now, I mean, the focus is everywhere on the data, and additionally to that, I mean, we have been supporting HIPAA and all the standards, but now Europe, Canada, all the different countries are coming with more aggressive laws on data privacy, and not just on the medical side, but just everywhere around the data, the customer data. So that also put a lot of focus for us on the security side.
Yep. When you have regulations and organizations that are kind of governing bodies that you have to work with, the security and the analytics governance certainly becomes two main areas, and we're seeing that here. I'm going to switch over there. I'm going to start on the data side, if you don't mind, and then move over to security. But we're going to look at a little bit more specifically here. There's a couple of names I don't get to talk about too much, and I'm going to bring them up on the database data warehousing side. I would love to talk a little bit there to begin with. And I would imagine organization your side, again, there's nothing black or white. I'm sure you've worked with everyone on the database data warehousing side. But we are seeing things like Teradata is becoming more and more like legacy. Their cloud services don't seem to be catching on, and we're seeing negative spend on them. And we're seeing names like Snowflake, like cloud native players, even names like MongoDB for niche, use cases. We're seeing the spend shift away from the IBMs, the Teradatas, Oracles, more to these. Now, with an organization your size, as large as you are, is that happening for you as well? Or is some of this database data warehousing still with more of the legacy names?
I will say that we are on here from the middle to the right still. I mean, on your graph. And I mean, yes, we are using. I mean, we are using on small scale applications, MongoDB, Maria,
Maria as well.
different type of database. Yeah. So I cannot read all the names of there, but yeah. So we are using many of these databases still. We use DB2 largely. We use I mean, VMs. We use. We have a lot of legacy still, and also the size of those data warehouses are huge. So I mean, we are talking about billions of records, and there is no way to manage on those new platforms. So yes, we use them for e-commerce, for some customer data, for BI, for certain applications, but the financials, the HRs, the transactional, the sales transactional data, those we still keep them on our historical. We have not been able to move them out yet.
Understood.
So I would say we are in the process. You mentioned something, Teradata. Yes, Teradata for that specific, we move out of Teradata. We used to have a huge on-premise installation, and we move out to the cloud, mostly Google.
Okay.
It took us almost 3 years.
I can't even imagine.
And I think that we still have small portions still running on Teradata, but it was I mean, the rest. I mean, we have a lot of legacy going around.
Yeah, Teradata always made its living in the Fortune 100. They were so stable, so scalable that the bigger the company you had, the more likely you were to move on, to have on them, and such a huge lift. What a big undertaking to move. To me, I got to say, kudos to Google. They're not usually considered the large enterprise option. So that was the route that they were able to handle that project for you. I think it's absolutely fantastic and something I haven't heard before.
Yeah. I mean, probably. I mean, our main corporate cloud providers are Microsoft with Azure and Google, and we don't use AWS services. But yes, I mean, they have been they put a huge team to help us do the transition and move into their services.